very well?
No, I can't hear you.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, it's got a pretty good. That's
good.
Unidirectional.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Happy Monday here on Facebook. Getting ready to answer your listener questions and hear about Rikki and Pam's trips to Florida last week and weekend. So we are going to have a good time today. So if you have a question, put it in the chat below. We'll answer those as we go through the inbox. Bubba gets his question on first, though. Bubba Mac. I wonder if that's a fake name. It probably isn't. That's a cool name. I wish my name was Bubba Mac. That'd be a great podcast name, or like a radio name. 105.7 Bubba Mac here with the top 40.
Oh my God.
Love it. All right, Bubba, your question's up first.
Jeez.
All right, here we go. 15, 20. You know what? So do you guys think about this? Like, what would your radio name be if you're a radio DJ?
No, I don't think about this.
Mine is Lefty Michaels.
Oh my God.
Because I was the left-handed pitcher in high school, and like my plate said lefties on it.
Got it.
So my first name is Mike, so Lefty Michaels. Perfect.
Is this like some kind of like take your name of the street that you lived on in elementary school?
Oh, you got to have a good name.
Like
this is Lefty Michaels spinning.
I haven't really.
I've never thought about this.
I'm going to stick with my name because I know it. I know how to spell it. You know, stuff like that.
No, you can't use your own name as your chance. You get to rename yourself on the radio.
Oh my God.
I've never thought about renaming myself.
Lefty Mike. I'll come up with names for both of you, but I can't. Too much going on. But I'll think about it over this week, and by next week, I'll have a radio.
Seems like a terrible idea.
The chat room will have you guys awesome radio names.
Yeah, sure they will for sure.
So I already called mine Lefty Michaels. Come left-handed. All right. So Pam and Rikki need radio names. It's 2 syllables, or no?
2 syllables.
It's 2 syllables in 2 words. Usually sounds good, like Lefty Michaels, or like Casey Kasem. So you see, that's how it works.
I think Casey Kasem's taken though.
I don't think I can be that one.
I think too.
Yes, he has. Poor Casey. He had quite a nice life though.
He did.
This
is your request. And did somebody take a picture of you?
No.
Pam? There's like a flash.
Me?
Yeah, look like somebody took a picture of you with like a.
No, in fact, I'm the only one here because my family took Jay for dinner.
They were where?
Yeah, Jay was flying into Pittsburgh.
Oh, Jay really was here.
My family is meeting him for dinner. Yeah.
Oh man, you're getting to meet all the people in Pittsburgh's becoming like Grand Central Station. It's like
right.
It's true. Everyone wants to be here because it's a cool city.
I wish I could be up there with you guys that weekend, but I can't.
For real. Okay, here we go. Gotta do this. Okay, so here we go. 1521. Holy cow. Welcome to episode 1521 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Wednesday to you. We are so glad that you're here for more of your listener questions where we can talk about anything in the Disney universe and try to solve some problems you may be having or just offer some sage advice or maybe terrible advice. We'll offer advice either way. And I'm really excited because the entire crew is here today, which with busy schedules, we've been having a crazy summer, but we're all here. We're going to have a great time today. So, of course, joining me from a DisneyWorldAfterAll.com, touringplans.com, and the Mouse for Less, we have Rikki. What's up, Rikki?
I'm here. That's that's pretty much all it is. You're right. It's crazy schedules between me and Pam. I think I don't think either one of us is like here ever. So like it's kind of crazy. No,
it's been nuts. I mean, there's just a lot of travel going on, which I mean, that's what summer's all about. And you got to make the most of it because you know what? Labor Day is going to be here before you know it.
Oh, yeah. And my travels will continue after Labor Day. So I'm just like, I just keep looking at my calendar and I'm going, what weekends am I actually going to be home?
You know what, too, is, you know, this will shock the folks that are listening on the East Coast, but Mallory starts middle school tomorrow. So can you believe it? School's back in session tomorrow here in the Midwest.
That's crazy. Wow.
That's crazy.
So quickly. That came up so quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. All right. Also joining us, we have the co-owner of the Magic for Less Travel, Pam Forrester. Pam, so glad to have you back. How's it going?
I am glad to be back. It's going great. My August is like, I go somewhere, I'm home for like 2 or 3 days. I go somewhere else, then I'm home for like 2 or 3 days. Then I go somewhere else and I'm home for like 2 or 3 days. But I mean, you know, that's what it's about, right? Doing that kind of stuff. So
pretty much.
And you're headed to Hilton Head, right? Here soon.
Hilton Head.
Oh, I'm so jealous. Hilton Head is so fantastic.
I know you guys went to that general area. I don't know if you're staying at the DVC Hilton Head, but I know you stayed at like a house. What's that town like? I mean, just real quick for folks that never been to Hilton Head, like just the city. I've heard it's really nice.
So it is. I mean, there's not a ton to do in Hilton Head. There's some good restaurants, and but the main attraction, of course, is the beach and the dunes, and that's the low country there in that space. The Disney Hilton Head Resort is actually not located on the beach, believe it or not. They have a beach house that is located on the ocean that you can go to. It's sort of located in the marsh area, which is a really cool area too. There's the thing is that I think about that is as soon as you step on property, it really does feel like you're at a Disney property.
Yeah, it does.
They have, a store, they have Mickey bars, they have stuff like that. So
they have refillable mugs. They have
they really do. So it's really sweet too. But I think, one of the things that started us thinking about this was we were on a Disney vacation and we're sort of challenged maybe to come up with something that didn't involve so much planning and fast passes and scheduling and stuff like that. And guess what? When we go to Hilton Head, nobody has to make reservations for dining 6 months in advance. There's no fast pass at 10:30 a.m. that we have to get to, and we have not only the ocean that we can drive to, but we always rent a house with a pool. So it's pretty easy.
Damn. All right. We can't wait to hear about that, but let's get to the Disney talk. I love this first question. Again, it's from Bubba Mac. He says, hey, Mike, Rikki, and Pam. My wife and I are going on our first trip to the world, August 17 through 24. # find Rikki. Bubba Mac's out looking for you, Rikki.
All right. I'll be there for the weekend. So
from his little avatar from his email, he's got like a beard and kind of like a thick mustache. So I'd
expect nothing less from somebody named Bubba Mac. So.
Anybody that comes up behind you, like in line or something, be like, "Are you Bubba Mac? Are you # finding Rikki?" Anyway,
yes, exactly.
So he says, "We'll be able to see Illuminations before it's gone, but we're not sure that we're going to. There's so many nighttime shows that we really want to do. Happily Ever After, Fantasmic, Star Wars, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. We've watched Illuminations on YouTube, but it kind of left us flat. I know that Mike loves this show, so I'm wondering if there's something that we're missing or if it's more nostalgia. So Mike, what makes it so great? Please sell me on why we should go see this over Fantasmic or Star Wars. It's going to be both of our first times as well as our honeymoon and my wife's birthday on August 22nd. We could not be more excited and can't thank you all enough for all you've done to educate us, Bubba." All right. First of all, congratulations on your wedding. And have a great first trip. Nothing like first trip. It's going to be amazing. So, before I kind of get into my Illuminations, not a rant or anything, but I love Illuminations, but I think Bubba kind of hit it. There's a lot of nostalgia in there for me that sells it. Pam, what about you though? Because I think we all three have kind of quick, just many thoughts on Illuminations and what makes it special.
So I really enjoy Illuminations because it has been such a part of Epcot for so long. I will say I loved the whole nighttime thing a little more when it was Tapestry of Dreams or Nations and Illuminations. I felt like they fit together really well. They sort of told a story, right, that went together. And I loved that. The thing I like about Illuminations is that it really does have a great message. When you think about it, there are not a ton of fireworks in Illuminations. I mean, it's certainly a fireworks show, right? But it's like 20 some minutes. And I would say the fireworks part of it is
5 or 6.
Yes, right around there. And so to me, I always wonder about, when you call it, it's sort of a nighttime spectacular, and so many people refer to it as the fireworks, but it's not really a great, communication of it. It's a lot of music and a lot of lasers and a lot of things like that. So I love the way that they incorporate the countries into it, but I think that they could do more of that moving forward. So I'll be interested to see if that's what happens, with whatever they do next moving forward with this. But it just has fantastic music. It really does. It's heartwarming. It's moving. You feel all those emotions as you're listening to the music.
Rikki, what about you? I mean, he's thinking about skipping it. He's not a gigantic, he wasn't sold on it on YouTube, which I have a hard time with, for the fact that, seeing a nighttime spectacular live with, IllumiNations, part of the fireworks are actually the percussion of the soundtrack, like the booms are actually the drums, if you think about it, parts of the show. So YouTube isn't going to sell it as much. What do you think? I know you're not as big of a fan as I am, but
no, I love IllumiNations. I really do, and it really is because of the music. The music is what makes IllumiNations for me. The fireworks are spectacular. Don't get me wrong, but Pam's right. The fireworks are only like maybe 30-40% of the entire show, and the rest is the music and the visuals of the globe and the lasers and the fountains and everything else. So there's a lot to IllumiNations, and you're right. I don't think it can be conveyed necessarily fully in the videos that people see. I think if I was going to choose, I think that I personally would probably skip Fantasmic, and I know that a lot of people are like, but like for me, that's just a hit or miss, and I tend to miss more than hit. I would much rather see IllumiNations than I do something like Fantasmic. It's a fine show, but I feel like I would, especially given that it is the last time you get to see IllumiNations, I would much rather skip Fantasmic over and see IllumiNations over it. So that would be my suggestion. And plus it's going to be so hard. You definitely have to be at, or you more likely have to be at Hollywood Studios 2 nights to be able to catch both Fantasmic and Star Wars fireworks. So I keep wanting to call everything Galaxy's Edge now, with that's Star Wars related. But yeah, so you definitely have to be there 2 nights. So I would rather catch IllumiNations instead of trying to fight back to get to see Fantasmic.
Fantasmic's a lot of work. I love Fantasmic, and it's Pam's favorite show. My Pam, she loves it, and I love it too because you get a seat. You're in a stadium, which is comfortable. It's a lot more comfortable than just standing around or hunting stuff. But great show there, but it is a lot of work to get back there to the Hollywood Theater, I think it's called. The only thing about IllumiNations, you nailed it. It is nostalgia for me. I think what you're going to find on this first trip for you, Bubba, is that if you fall in love with Disney the way the three of us have, that when you go those initial times, those are the times you're going to cherish for the rest of your life and you're going to hold on to. Like for me, it's Spectrum Magic. Like, God, like that soundtrack is burned in my soul because that was the soundtrack of the night. The first times I was at the Magic Kingdom, IllumiNations and Tapestry of Nations and Dreams with those drums and the made up hey la, hey, that is burned in my memory. The best times ever when I discovered Disney. So it might not be as big a deal for you, but again, it's one of those things where you watch it now, or you never see it again. So it's go or forever hold your peace on that one. So.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I mean, the good news is you can't go wrong on any of them. So just have a good time and whatever, strikes your fancy, do it. All right. We had a question here in the live chat. We're going to get to those. Let's see. Jennifer says, is it crazy to book a trip only a few months ahead of time? Thinking about booking a trip in the middle of November. And Pam, I know that you're one that doesn't schedule your trips usually more than a few months ahead of time. Like that may be a big lead time for you. So give her some advice. I mean, actually, if it works on the schedule, those are kind of I think those kind of trips bring less pressure and you actually get more out of the trip because it's almost like everything's gravy. You're not like so stressed out for, 9 months in advance.
It's so true. It's so true. And I think that is, as much as people, I think, get wrapped up in the planning, a really great trip can be planned just months in advance. It does not. It's, I think what has happened is, we have such a passion for Disney, and the whole input via social media thing has made things, right there and available for us. So much so that we sort of crowdsource opinions on everything. Like, what's the best restaurant? And then people fill in the blank. And you feel like if you don't get to eat at that restaurant, then things are going to be off the rails, right? Not knowing maybe or realizing there are literally hundreds of other restaurants you can eat at that you will have as good of an experience as the crowdsourced quote best restaurant, right? And that in particular is such an individual kind of thing. So I think planning a last minute trip sort of forces you maybe not to eat at the best restaurant, right? Because that one's probably already thought of because everyone else has crowdsourced that as well, right? You're not going to get maybe Ohana. Maybe you aren't going to get to eat at Ohana.
And let's be honest, Pam, some of those best restaurants aren't great anymore. You know, like you mentioned Ohana, I hear it's very hit or miss. So, you might find a new favorite restaurant that is off the beaten path in that chance.
That's what I absolutely think that especially trips that are thought of as quote last minute really give you the opportunity to do is find your new favorite. Whether you've been there before or you've just listened to everyone else, it gives you an opportunity to find a hidden gem, which that's incredible. I think that's part of the beauty of Disney is being able to find those little hidden gems and being able to find the thing that really appeals to you the most. It makes you be a little more flexible, but you know what? That's always a good thing. I think, forcing yourself to be a little more flexible, you'll be able to take advantage of cool things that you didn't think about. And all of that. So see, what you can get in terms of dining. You can't even do Fast Pass yet. So you're not late for that. Mm-hmm. So you still have plenty of time to kind of get that. And guess what? Your hours are more set in stone than folks who did plan 6 months in advance. You have a better idea of that. Now, don't think that your hours still can't change because they can change the day before you get there.
That's true.
But I think when you plan sort of a last minute trip, you're already in flexibility mode. So those are all the things that you'll keep, in mind. I could show up at Disney the day after I decided to be there and have a fantastic trip. And you can too. So go and enjoy.
And two, the thing is, like, it's an opportunity to try places you haven't tried. Maybe some of the second tier restaurants, in air quotes, how people see them. They might not be. They might be your new favorite, but you just never had the chance because you're always going for, like Rikki said, Ohana or Cape May. All that stuff, So it's that. And also, here's another thing I think you got to consider is that when we went down for Mallory's Cheer in May, we almost ate all counter service. And the thing is, the counter service is so excellent at Walt Disney World right now. I mean, it's not just burgers and fries. You can get, just think about it. There's so many great counter service restaurants. Just supplement it with a sit-down meal here and there. Do counter service for a last-minute trip, and you're not going to starve. You're going to have great dining experiences. It's good. All right. Megan's got the next question. She says, what will the bus stops be like moving forward at Coronado? Single bus stop at the tower and then a 3-stop loop? Pam, did you notice anything when you stayed there? What's the story of that?
Right. So the stop that used to be stop number 1 at Coronado was actually at El Centro, and now that is at the tower. So stop number 1 is actually the last stop that gets picked up before you head to the parks, but it's the first stop when it's going to Disney Springs. There are a total of 4 stops at Coronado to go from to the tower and all of the other areas of the resort, the cabanas, the casitas, and the ranchos. So each location has its own bus stop, and they've just eliminated the one that was by El Centro, and now it's at the tower. So it's actually a very nice bus stop. It's right there by the tower, and it's kind of covered, so you don't have that. But it lets in like air in a way that some of those bus stops do not. So I will say that too. But yeah, it's a really nice bus stop. So that's how it's going to be for now.
I will say too, when I see pictures people have been posting of Gran Destino Tower at night, I swear when I see those on Instagram, it looks like Vegas. Like it just reminds me of from a distance, like a Bellagio or something. I still have to get used to the tall tower at Walt Disney World. I'm not used to that yet.
I know, and it's cool to see it on the skyline. It really, truly is. It's just a cool thing to see because there aren't that many tall buildings on Disney property. So
right. All right, Kara's got a question. I've seen the new Halloween Mickey Magic Band is available and ordered one for our trip in a couple of weeks' time. Do we know if it has any special features like glow in the dark or fragranced? That'd be cool. Does it smell or stink, Rikki? You're the news person, so give us the overall news on the new Magic Bands because there's new ones out. I saw somebody posted a Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, like AP holders can do the custom ones.
You know what? I am not entirely sure. I did not go to, so I went to Epcot this weekend and Epcot didn't have any Halloween stuff out. So I didn't see, and obviously that was the only park I went to, so I didn't see if there were anything like at the Magic Kingdom is usually the park that has those things first. I'm trying to find, I'm guessing that she probably got it on Shop Disney. And so I'm trying to find out about that there, and of course I can't find anything as we're talking, so I would assume that it's probably not going to be doing anything special, just, but if it does, then hey, it does something special, but I'm going to assume that it probably doesn't, just because I think most of those Magic Bands just are kind of standard. They just have the special Halloween design on them. So
cool. All right, here's another question from Chance Porter. He's always in here with us. Any updates on Woody's Backyard Barbecue opening date, Rikki? Anything on that? I know they've.
I mean, I don't even know that they've started construction. To be honest, I think I know that there's a Twitter user named BioReconstruct who does flyovers, and they're amazing, by the way. But I didn't notice whether or not he recently did one. He or she recently did one over Hollywood Studios, and I didn't notice whether there was talk about Woody's Backyard Barbecue. That's what it is, right? Something like that. Anyway,
it was like backwards of what we thought it should be. I thought it was like should be Woody's Backyard Barbecue, but it was like Woody's Barbecue Backyard.
Barbecue. I don't know. Yeah, it's yeah. Anyway, I don't expect that will open until at earliest maybe summer next year, but I would say probably fall to. Oh my gosh, next year is 2020. So probably either fall 2020 or maybe winter 2021. Maybe something along those lines.
Good barbecue with Woody's Backyard Barbecue and the Regal Beagle. That's gonna be awesome.
The Regal Beagle. It's not the Regal Beagle.
Will be there serving you and the girls.
Should be.
Come knock on my door.
Exactly. But now the Regal Eagle should be opening sooner rather than later because they're not having to build a brand new building. It's already there. They just have to reconfigure everything. So I suspect that one will be open at the probably fall, winter, or probably winter this year. So maybe early spring, early winter, early winter 2020, or late. Yeah, I'm making stuff up. Yeah. So. It's just based off of the fact that they don't have to knock the whole building down. So I would say probably late winter or early winter 2019 or into 2020, somewhere around there.
So we need to get one more female, and we need to dress up like Jack Tripper and the three girls, like at the opening of Regal Eagle.
Which show were you watching? Yeah.
Well, see, what happened was Chrissy left after, so she was replaced. There were actually like three or four different blondes throughout the course of the series. But
I think Pam would make a good Chrissy. And
so we totally need to dress up like Jack Tripper and the also, it would make sense. There's three because the show's called Three's Company. We also need a Mr. and Mrs. Roper, and Mr. Roper has to wear.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. We got to do this photo.
Mrs. Roper always had the moo-moos.
Yes. It's gonna be awesome. This is how we hatch these ideas. I have no idea, but that's gonna be the most epic shot in front of the Regal Eagle. Anyway. All right, back to Disney. Josh has a question. Where are the family suites located at All Star Music? Are they basically preferred locations? Looking at a possible Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween trip over Labor Day, and we are growing out of a regular room as a family of 5. Would y'all do the suite or a moderate that sleeps 5? Pam, thoughts on that? Suites at All Star Music.
So the suites at All Star Music are located at the Calypso and Jazz buildings. And, I guess you could kind of call them a preferred-ish location. But they can be, I don't know that they aren't classified as such. You know what I mean? They're just, you're staying at an All-Star Music suite. The thing that I think is a bonus with the family suites is the 2 bathrooms. And I think that's something you want to consider when you're deciding whether you could do it in a moderate or you want to look at one of the family suites. I think 2 bathrooms, once your kids get to a certain age, are really, really important.
Amen.
But the other thing that you can always consider is 2 rooms at a value or a moderate too. And depending on, what's available, whether there are any specials, all of that, those are all going to be probably around the same price point. The other benefit of the family suite, of course, is the microwave and little kitchenette area. So I see that as a positive too. Check out the beds. Check out the whole, the pictures of the room over on the Mouse for Less. There are great photos of all the different resorts for sure. So check those out and see what kind of appeals to you. The table beds are actually fairly comfortable. It's just really just a full-on mattress that is on, a platform, and that's always a comfortable bed. So think about that. Now, once you move into the moderate, you're going to be able to stay at Riverside in one of the Alligator Bayou rooms, and you will also be able to consider Caribbean Beach as a possibility as well. And then all of the deluxe resorts, except for Animal Kingdom Lodge and Wilderness Lodge, can accommodate up to 5 in a standard room. They have that day bed configuration that's available. So those are kind of all your, resort options, and you're going to have to think about those out. And it really just depends on what you value, what you prefer as a family.
All right. Good luck and have fun at the Halloween party. All right. Marlisa, always in the chat and always very kind to the show. We appreciate her so much. She says, to park hop or not to park hop? Confession. I've never used a park hopper. Oh, but I'm considering it for my upcoming trip with my boyfriend. Is it worth it if we'd probably only hop parks 1 or 2 of the days? Is it nice just having the availability? And here's where I think we're going to intersect here or diverge, I should say. Pam, I know you always want the park hop. And see, the problem is when you have an annual pass, you have it built in. And it's so nice to not have to think about that question, because this is a tough question. It's about $60 a ticket-ish to add the park hopper option, but pre-tax. So it's, it's non-trivial to add it if you're thinking about it, depending on, how long you're there and so forth. I'd say the longer you're there, the more, because it's an all or nothing proposition. I get this question a lot from guests, like, can I park hop just 2 of the days out of the 7? Well, that'd be great, but you can't. It's an all or nothing proposition. If you're only going to park hop once or twice, personally, I would probably just firm up my plans and maybe save the money. It does give you flexibility, and it gives you like we don't have to sweat anything. We can make our ADRs wherever we want. That's nice, but you got to, is that worth the $60 or so to add on? It's totally up to you. So I'm going to go over to Rikki, because I know, Pam, you're going to say, get the park hopper. But that's you. I mean, you make so many good arguments for it. But Rikki, what do you say? Because I don't know, I'm kind of frugal that way. I may try to save it, but then I may regret it. I mean, you got to do it the whole time. Like, so if you're going to do it, minute 1.
Yeah, I think, if you plan on doing like a full day in a park, don't take a break type situation, kind of like I do, then yeah, okay, I understand where it would make sense to maybe not park hop. But if you are like Mike and you like to take the half day kind of situation, go in the morning to one park and then maybe, take a break and then go in the afternoon, I would maybe consider the park hopper. I think that's a really good use of it. It just depends on how you end up vacationing. If you're a go all day type person, like I usually am, then park hopping is not, I feel like it's not as necessary. I feel like you can get a lot done in the park that you're in at that point. But if you're already taking a break and everything, you might as well add it on.
Yeah, that's kind of the cheater's way to do it, though. Is like, just go in the morning, go back to your hotel, swim, nap, and then go back at night. It's almost like hopping, and you divide the park in half. World Showcase in the morning, Future World at night. Probably you'd want to reverse that.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking, but you could do like the left side of the Magic Kingdom, the right side, or there's many ways to go about it where it's like a pseudo park hopper without paying it.
Another thing to keep in mind too is if you plan on taking advantage of like extra magic hours, then I would definitely add the park hopper, because then in the morning, once you go to the park that has extra magic hours, then you can leave that park and go to a different park, because that park will inevitably be more crowded. Same thing goes for the evening. You can go to a different park that day, and then once extra magic hours hit, you can go into that other park, and it's, again, you won't have to deal with the larger crowds, because everybody is, not everybody has park hoppers, so they're all going to that park for the whole day. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is if you're looking to take advantage of extra magic hours, I would add the park hopper.
Good tip. And Dennis, our good friend, who is my favorite Star Wars podcaster, says every time I've had it, I ended up using it. Plus, It is a great save when you're feeling worn out by one park and you need to change the scenery.
Yeah,
That's
true.
Extra magic hours can definitely make that happen. So good point by Dennis. All right, we have a question from the inbox. BBB questions and post makeover strategy. Hey, Mike, Pam, and Rikki, really enjoy the podcast. Looking forward to your help, Mike, on our future cruise. Well, thank you so much. There's nothing you can do wrong on a cruise. They're amazing. It's so easy. See here, I have 2 questions about an upcoming trip to the world in November. We have a Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique reservation at the Magic Kingdom at 8 o'clock a.m. Magic Kingdom is scheduled to open at 9 a.m. As of now, there are no extra magic hours or early morning magic scheduled in the Magic Kingdom for the day. It's a Tuesday, November 5th. Number 1, when we enter the Magic Kingdom prior to 8 a.m., will any of the food places on Main Street be open for us to grab a quick breakfast, something grab and go, muffins, etc.? My husband may need to keep my 6-year-old son entertained while we're in the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, and I was hoping they could get some food and coffee. Rikki, I don't think that's going to happen, all right? You have to bring your own.
What time is the reservation?
So they're going in at 8 for the reservation. The park doesn't open until 9 as of right now.
So the Starbucks should be open.
You think?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Starbucks should be open. So you should be able to get something there.
Good. And then like a 6-year-old on coffee. I mean,
they have, she did say breakfast.
Right,
so they have like breakfast sandwiches or, other things that you can grab. Yeah. So.
What's the most caffeinated thing you served at Starbucks? What's the one you get if you wanted to be like this bouncing off the walls? Like, what do you order?
We had a guy who would come in every day and he would get a venti coffee and then he would add 4 shots of espresso in the coffee. And he didn't do this one time a day. He did this twice a day. So yes. That's a lot.
Were you like legally in New Mexico, like having to report that guy? Like that's almost criminal.
What's funny is he cut it down from 6 shots in there.
Oh my God. Why don't you just drink whatever that stuff is? Forget the coffee. Like tequilas. Drink.
So yeah, it was a lot. And he didn't put anything in it. He just drank it straight. Like it was just, that's all he did. Yeah. So he was a nice guy though. I liked him. So
nice. He never slept, but he was a great guy.
He's a nice guy. Yeah.
And her second question is, more importantly, my daughter is 4.5 and princess obsessed. What's the best plan for where to go after her Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique appointment? Straight back to the princess meet and greets in Fantasyland? I'd like to not use a fast pass on characters when possible. Anything else we should do? Make a beeline for since we may be in the park as rope drop happens, aside from Mine Train, which we'll likely skip if we don't get a fast pass. We have 2 Magic Kingdom days on this visit, but this is the princess focused day. Pam will be happy to know that we booked the fireworks dessert party for that evening too. Thanks, Jessica, up in Springfield, Virginia, 855 miles from Walt Disney World. All right. So here's the thing, Pam, help me out here. But I think when you're doing something as special as Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, your daughter's never going to look like cuter. I mean, she'll look cute like when she goes to prom and stuff. But you know what? Like right now, she's 4.5. Like she's dialed up, man. This is her day. Everybody's going to be, hey, princess in her all day. Fellow guests, cast members will be, bowing to her. This is the day that you do use fast passes on meet and greets because you just get as many pictures as possible and make sure you have Memory Maker, right?
Absolutely. So Memory Maker has got to be our number 1 tip always that we do tell our guests about. We try to remind them a few times throughout the planning process, just because I think it adds that much to your vacation. I truly do. Look, you're going to have the memories, but you're going to want the pictures. And that's just the end of it. And I absolutely look, your daughter is dressed up like a princess and she's going to meet other princesses. Hello. These are things that you're going to want. So I absolutely think these are the times that you want to use those fast passes on all those character meet and greets. And I would probably even get her with Mickey and Minnie too, even though Mickey and Minnie aren't a princess. She's dressed like a princess. I mean, come on. You have Christmas cards in the making, my friend. So love this. And you know what I love? I love to see how many Christmas cards I get each year that I'm like, oh, Memory maker photo right there.
Kim Taylor took that shot.
Exactly. So it's just so sweet and I love it. And you're also going to want to think about some of the locations that look very royal, like the castle, and there are certain walls that are great, and go over by Ariel's castle.
We can't start them at 4.5 on all the walls. Come on now.
Not those kind of walls. I mean like a brick looking castle-y wall. So yeah, there's just a lot of great opportunities. Try and seek them out and find them because you're gonna just treasure those.
Yeah, I mean,
I will say,
go ahead, Rikki. Go ahead.
I will say though, if they're doing it first thing in the morning, the good news is they don't have to use that fast pass if they don't want to, because if they head over there first thing, they should be able to get in without much of a wait for Princess Fairy Tale Hall. And I would also suggest probably going over to Enchanted Tales with Belle at first thing as well.
That'd be awesome. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So you won't likely need a fast pass for either of those attractions if you go first thing in the morning. So I would make your fast passes for some of the more thrilling attractions or the harder to get attractions later in the afternoon or after you plan on doing all that stuff, maybe at 10 or 11 or something like that. And then I would definitely go in and do Princess Fairy Tale Hall and Enchanted Tales with Belle first. Like I said, you won't have much of a wait. So.
I will say you want some practical parenting advice from Mike from being there, because I've done this with Mallory. We went early. We used our fast passes to meet Mickey and Tinkerbell and Cinderella and all the Princess Fairy Tale Hall people, and it was great. I mean, that's honestly the way to go. Hang on, I gotta give the practical parenting advice.
Got it.
Is never gonna want to swim more than she will want to swim that day at around noon. And you're like, ain't happening, dude. I just paid $180 for that hairdo. Like, you might not spend that much on your wedding day to get your hair done. You are not swimming. You're probably not swimming for the next 72 hours. After I paid all that money for the makeup, you're sleeping on your back. You're not rolling over. You're wearing this hair like that for the next 3 days. I'm just saying, from a cheap dad who did Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique a couple times, your kid will want to swim. You got to say N-O. Ain't happening. The pool has been closed. It is every pool at Walt Disney World, water parks included, closed. Not happening. Go ahead, Rikki. Sorry.
Okay. So the other option that I was thinking that I forgot to mention was you could potentially try to do a later breakfast or early lunch at Cinderella Royal Table as well. It just depends on if you want to spend the money to go to Cinderella Royal Table and you can get the reservation. So that's another option too.
All right, time for the last question of the day. It's coming from Kara from the chat room. I saw a rumor today about It's a Small World being updated for the Walt Disney World anniversary, and they're including the Disney characters. What are your thoughts on this? Is it a good change? I know some people won't like a classic being altered. I think it would be, I think I would like to see it, though. It sounds fun. So is this not what they've done at Disneyland, Pam? They have the characters.
They do have the characters in. It's actually very subtle. It doesn't intrude, I don't think, on the nostalgia of the original Small World. I mean, and now that the rumor is out there will be people who are mad that it's happening and people who are mad if it doesn't happen. So even though Disney did not release the rumor. So, I mean, I think it's hard for Disney to win in these kind of instances, right? But I actually really like it. And one of the reasons why I like it is I remember, and I, can hear it when we're in the boat, little kids find, they know those characters. So that's something that's more engaging to them. Like there's Alice and, things like that. So I think it lends to a lot of conversations for many different reasons. Like, is that where that character's from, the country that they're representing there in Small World? Or how about you look for and insert the character's name, and see that. So I think it just gives you a lot of different options with that. And I think that is what makes Disney attractions something that appeals to so many of us. How many times can you repeat that attraction and still be engaged with it? And if by making a little tweak that makes it more engaging to some folks, I'm okay with it. I'm not like a purist at heart. I am not ever going to be one of those people who are like, we cannot change this will whatever. I mean, I love Carousel Progress, but if they updated it today and replaced that last scene, I'd be like,
last scene. I love that. That last scene.
Maybe the last scene could be the second to the last scene because we've moved beyond that at this point. Let me tell you, I'm never getting a dining room table with those chairs. That time has gone.
Me too. So, yeah, I mean, we back in the day we didn't have a car phone.
Exactly. And
I know,
laser
right?
discs.
Maybe it could be second to the last scene. I'm just saying, like, we could move on into something that could conceivably be in the future.
Yeah.
Rikki, I mean, what do you think about adding the character? I think Disneyland did it right from what I've seen. Like Pam said, it's subtle. It's nice.
Yeah, I've been to Disneyland and I've seen their version, and I didn't hate it. Now, at first, I was one of those people who was up in arms when they announced it back then. You know, I was like,
is our up in arms person.
Exactly. They can't do this. That's terrible. They're, you know, especially because the Disneyland version was Walt's version. And then I saw it and I was like, okay, it's not so bad. Since it now look, again, it's a rumor. I don't hold a lot of rumors true until I see them a few places that I trust. So I'm just saying that right now, it is a rumor, and that's that. But if they did it to Walt Disney World, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It is not Walt's version. I have zero problem with it in that regard. I think it is fine. Now, what I would love to see them do, and they won't, but what I would
take the country bears and put them into the small one, right?
No,
in the tiki birds, put them in there too. Just make it 3-in-1.
No, what I would really love to see them do is kind of take what they did at Disneyland Paris and bring that over. And I don't know if it's longer, but what they did at Disneyland Paris is there are so many more different cultures depicted in that version of It's a Small World. There's so many different scenes that aren't included in ours that I think would work really well. And I would very much like to see, instead of maybe adding the characters, add more cultures into It's a Small World and do a little bit more like they did in Disneyland Paris. I have the video. I need to post it on the Mouse for Less because I did film that one because I thought it was so spectacular. It is the best It's a Small World I've ever seen. So that's what I would like to see. You know, I mean, they had Mounties and ice skaters, and they had a genie, and like, I mean, there were so many cool things in that version that I would love to see brought to our version. That's what I would like to see over the characters. But if they added characters, I mean, that would be fine too. But yeah.
All right, we'll have to wait and see on that. We just like talking about things that may or may not happen. It's kind of fun, and you know, we'll be here soon. I mean, things are getting announced hot and heavy. And of course, D23.
I mean, this month. This month.
Big announcement's going to be the Disney airline, right? Just kidding. I doubt it.
No.
Anyway, we are going to get out of here. Thank you so much for your listener questions. Hopefully you enjoyed today's show. Don't forget it was brought to you by our friends over at virtualmickey.com, home of great iPhone apps like Theme Park News, Disney Edition. Rikki, what are we reading about this week on this awesome free iOS app?
Okay, so if you are fans of magnets and annual pass holders, you are exactly. You are going to want to head to Epcot. There are going to be 2 magnets this year, which means I have to figure out how I'm getting down there twice. One
That's your plan. You're following it, right?
They got me.
Yes, we got Rikki.
Because I have to get the second magnet. The first one is a Minnie Mouse magnet, and she's adorable. I love her, and that's the one I'm definitely getting. But then now I have to figure out how to get down there the second time. Oh, Minnie Mouse will be given out from August 29th till October 14th. And then the one that I have to, is the Chef Remy pass holder magnet, which is going to be given out October 15th through November 23rd. And his background is a wheel of cheese, and I freaking love it. It's so adorable. It's a wheel of cheese. Anyway, they also have one.
Apparently your cat likes it too.
He does. He wants cheese. They also have one at Disney's Animal Kingdom, which is going to be Simba, and that one is going to be given out starting August 29th as well. That's going to be at the Discovery Trading Company, and I have a problem. I am addicted to the magnets. It is true. I have every single one, and now it's an obsession, and this is my obsession. I don't collect pins or things like that, but give me a free pass holder magnet, and I'm like, how do I get down there?
$1,200 magnets.
Exactly. Hey, I paid a lot of money for that magnet.
That's right. All right, get all this latest news to read over your breakfast cereal every morning, free for iOS device over at virtualmickey.com. Please support the show, especially with back to school. You're buying all those school supplies and stuff for the house as we get into the fall. BeOurGuestPodcast.com/Amazon. Get all those Prime benefits, cost you nothing extra, and it really does help support the show. Give us a follow on social media. We're on Instagram and Twitter at @BeOurGuestPod and at @BeOurGuestMike. And of course, we got a great Facebook page. We're live almost every Monday and lots of Sunday nights as well. We'll probably do a call-in show this Sunday night, so watch for that as well. Facebook.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. All right, we're going to duck out of here, and we'll be back again on Friday where we hear about Pam and Rikki going down to Walt Disney World here over the last week or so, and some quick updates and a fun, different kind of trip for Pam. So we're going to be talking about that as well. So until then, for Rikki and Pam, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Wednesday. Time to head back to work, and we'll see you real soon. Save that one. Yeah, I heard the cat. That was fun.
I don't know what his problem is. He must have missed me.
Oh, what'd I do?
So.
Hang on. Wait, I got it. Did I hit something wrong?
Did you not save that one?
No, but it's giving me different options for the save that I've never seen before. And I have not updated this because it's the same program from like 2007. Let me see here.
The rocking chairs are on a deck in front of the Big Thunder. I think they were that's where the smoking area was. Ooh, if they're back at Big Thunder, I am okay.
Oh, I know.
Like by Big
I'm not thinking. Okay, go ahead.
If they're back by Big Thunder, that makes me happy. That's where I like them to be.
It's not mixed down because I haven't mixed anything yet. That's why I'm tired.
Technology.
I haven't mixed it yet. No wonder there's not a save mixed down as because I haven't mixed it. It's just a file.
Mike's losing his mind.
Using my stuff. All right, let's do the second one. Saved, done, close, record. Here we go. Welcome to episode 1522 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. As we've said for almost 11 years now, happy Friday. You know, it's Thursday night if you're listening like Andrew and lots of other friends, but you know what? It's Friday. Any of you are listening on the weekend, it's time to kick back. We're going to have some fun Disney talk, quick trip reports, kind of going to be all over the place with different experiences because Pam and Rikki went down to Walt Disney World to have some fun and kind of explore Central Florida. A lot of different stuff maybe you don't normally hear about, and we're going to just kind of dive into that today to get us a little bit closer to our favorite place. So joining me today, we have Rikki from a DisneyWorldAfterAll.com, touringplans.com, and The Mouse for Less. What's going on, Rikki?
So I just wanted to share that this weekend, it is on Sunday, I will be at our Six Flags here in Atlanta. And I know you're probably asking, why is she talking about Six Flags? It's because there is a Give Kids the World meet at Six Flags. And it's, I believe it's the Coasting for Kids. So I will be there and I'm very excited about it. So if you're there, say hi. I don't know who will be there, but you know, if anybody will be there that listens to this, but I'll be there.
I've driven past that Six Flags before. I was to Georgia.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I have to get there super early in the morning, and I live very far away from it. I live almost the opposite end of where that is, so I have to get up super early in the morning on Sunday. Yay!
Do you get the Batman ride?
We do have the Batman.
Like
yes.
The Batman at Six Flags.
Yes. Yeah, we have the Batman. The same Batman that we had at Six Flags St. Louis. Yes. So same one. And it's a neat little park. I mean, I like going there. I have a pass there too.
I have one here and I've gone one time this year.
I've gone once as well.
I've been to Disney like 3 or 4 times on my AP and I've gone to Six Flags once and I have the pass.
We usually go at Christmas, and what we do is because it's usually Thanksgiving, because my brother's usually in town. So what we'll do is we'll buy the pass, for the next year. And so we'll get 2 years out of it and we do the Christmas thing, but they're not coming for Thanksgiving this year. So I guess Brian and I have to figure out another time to go.
So you want a fun fact about our Six Flags real quick in St. Louis?
Yeah.
Rode Batman the day it opened, like in a pass holder preview. I won some tickets. And you're probably too young to remember this, but some of our St. Louis listeners will know. I rode the ride like one of the very first times it went to the general public, like on premiere night with Steve and DC from 106.
Oh yeah.
I
remember Steve and DC. Awesome. Yeah. yeah. You want to know the interesting thing about me is that I was terrified of roller coasters, and ironically enough, Batman is the first roller coaster that I was brave enough to. Once I finally started getting brave, that's the coaster that I went on the first time to really get me into coaster loving. So isn't that weird? Like the coaster that lets you hang upside down and go upside down and everything like that. Yeah, that's the coaster that I was like, let me go on that one and get brave. Yeah, that's the one. I mean, I was like 20, but still, that's the one I want to get on. Not some easy coaster that, I don't go upside down on. It's fine. That one.
You're a Mine Train Forever fan. Anyway, let's get out of the Six Flags stuff. Pam Forrester joining us from up in Pittsburgh. She's the co-owner of the Magic for Less Travel. Pam, do you guys have a Six Flags somewhere near Pittsburgh? Or you guys have like other amusement parks?
So we have Kennywood, which is a local park here in the Pittsburgh area. We have Cedar Point, which is really not that far away from us. And we used to have, when Hannah was little, a SeaWorld. We used to have our own SeaWorld up here in Ohio, I know.
Really?
Yeah, we did. And we would buy a season pass to it every year because that's actually a park that you can take, little kids to, right? So we could see the Shamu shows and the dolphin shows and the otter and the walrus and all those shows. And they had a lot of hands-on activities. I really missed it when it was gone. Really, really, really. But yeah, that's our deal. We do. I think there's a Six Flags that's not too far away from us, but
Yeah, I just remember like when my Six Flags when we were like kids, they had this diving show. Well, they had like a dolphin show too. They had like a little stadium with a pool in the middle of it. But my God, like this thing freaked me out when I was the last time about Six Flags. My dad used to take me out there all the time. Like they used to like playing pinball, him and his best friend, and they got season passes and would just haul me along when I was like 6, 5 or 4. I don't know. But like the one thing, this guy would crawl up on this tower, get on this little bitty like diving board. It looked like it might have been like a foot sticking out. And I mean, I swear as a kid, he was as high as the arch. Like this dude was jumping from like 600 feet into this pool. It would freak me out. Like to this day, I'm getting sweaty palms talking about it right now.
It was like a Dumbo situation.
Yes.
It's way up there high and diving into a little pool.
I don't remember that, but like you talking about it is like maybe putting in memories of that. Like I kind of vaguely.
Yeah, it was right by Thunder River. There's still like it's right by the Tony Hawk ride. There's still like a little area.
Interesting. I kind of vaguely remember it, but maybe I'm making it up in my head because you're talking about it. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like something I would have seen. I don't know. But it sounds a little familiar.
Dolphins, which you can't do anymore. Anyway, one other thing about this remover. I've always wondered this, Pam. Is Kennywood owned by Dollywood because Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton were such good friends? I've always wondered. Seriously, I didn't know. Like, I mean, they're playing Islands in the Stream together. I mean, no.
There's no Islands of the Streams playing when you're in Kennywood. No, it's not. It's actually that it has been part of the Pittsburgh area for a long time. I believe it was a rail stop at some point. And so now, of course, they have Kenny the Kangaroo, which was sort of the mascot of that.
His name's the Gambler.
Oh no. But yes, so that, I mean, it's kind of a cool thing. And by the way, I will just give you a little hints for those who might be going to Kennywood or might have gone to Kennywood. So one of the things you have to do at Kennywood, besides the fact that we have the Thunderbolt, which is consistently on America's top 10 list of coasters in the country, Potato Patch fries, they're famous for. They're fries that have cheese on them. We talked about plastic cheese a few weeks back.
Yeah.
Well, this is real plastic cheese. Like, it's salty as heck plastic cheese.
Nice.
Which is how plastic cheese should be, right?
Exactly.
But they have a lot of really traditional, attractions. And it is a historic landmark. So I'm remembering the story now. It was like kind of a picnic grove on the rail stop. That's how it started and developed into the Kennywood we know today. But yeah, they have a new coaster this year, which is apparently getting a lot of play. People like it.
The Steeler coaster? Is that the one? Yeah.
Steel Curtain.
Yeah, Steel Curtain. Yeah.
Time to fold them on this conversation. All right, so let's get to your Disney trips. We're going to just hit some of the highlights. Of course, we only have about 25 minutes or so to squeeze all this in. So, Pam, you went down for the Disney Institute.
I
which
did.
Used to be a location, now it's an experience. So,
It
tell us
is.
a little bit about that.
It is. And the Disney Institute is actually still available. They do sort of classes and conferences across the country. So it is a professional development series that they have. Typically, the ones that they make available in many locations are there's one on leadership, there's one on employee engagement, and there's one on guest services. And of course, these are three issues that are really in Disney's wheelhouse. So they do a great job with that. But yeah, this one actually took place in Walt Disney World. So I think that's a pretty good excuse to go down there. And they do have this series available at different times of the year. You can actually visit their website and find out more about that. But yeah, we did that. I went down with a couple members of our leadership team, Deb and Audie, and we got to really sort of dive into a couple of these topics. In the past, I've attended other conferences that Disney has put on, and they always have a Disney Institute component of that, be it a session or a breakout or even a keynote. They're really insightful. They use a lot of the principles of their company, and it's so nice that they're willing to share that with so many people, you know, to help them make the experience, make their business better. So I think it's good to always get kind of a little charge like that, and this gave me that opportunity.
So, you know, as somebody who's spent many, many years in education, professional development, trying to learn your trade, you know, because it changes, you know, I mean, like in travel agency, you know, you have different expectations for guests today than you might have had 10 years ago. You know, just the way people vacation is different. In education, we had new trends that came on, you know, kids were different 20 years ago than they are today. So how does Disney go about really maximizing your experience? Because I'm sure they want to make it something relevant that you can go back and within the first 5 minutes of sitting at your desk, you can kind of maybe see things through a different lens. Is it very hands-on? Is it very interactive? Is it kind of a combination of lecture and question answer? Like, what's that experience like?
It is. So it is, you know, first of all, the Disney Institute classes give you kind of a workbook to help lead you through the process. There are typically two presenters, which is really great because there's sort of a back and forth, and there could be guest speakers as well. It always does offer you some time for thoughtfulness and some time to engage with your other participants. But I think one of the things that makes it very unique, especially when you're there on site, is your field visits include time in the parks or at something else. One of them we had a little visit into Animal Kingdom Park. We got to participate in what Disney's teams call the leadership walk, that's when their leaders walk through the park and sort of catch what's going on with their team while they're in the park. And that was really insightful. And then the other day, we got to go backstage at Epcot and saw where the costuming took place and all of that. So that was really a cool thing. And it really was to help to put into practical demonstration a concept that we were covering in class, but it really does help you sort of bring it home when you think about those kind of things. So it was really good. And sometimes in leadership classes or in classes when you're thinking about your business, you sort of walk away from that thinking, oh man, there's a lot of stuff I'm not doing right, or there's a lot of improvements we have to make or whatnot, right?
Right.
But the Disney one, I think we really, all three of us sort of walked away with golly, there's a lot of things we are doing right. And here are some tweaks that we can do to help improve our process in this space. So that was really, it was sort of a really good process for us to go through.
So since you've been there now, and you know, we're just going to kind of bounce around in different topics today, but as we wrap this part of the show up, like, is there a quote or a mantra that you left with that, like, you came home to the office and you're like, okay, you know, I could sum it down to, you know, this plan of action? You know, did they give you something like, you know, believe it? You know, you see all those inspirational quotes on Instagram and so forth, but was there something they left you with, like, you know, make a difference today, not tomorrow, or, you know, something like that? I mean, what do you remember from the experience?
So there's a couple of things that, first of all, I was going to remember. And one of the things that I really committed myself to doing is when we're having discussion within our own organization, I am going to commit myself to asking really good questions to help people figure out some things on their own, right? And to help them come at the answer that might help them. And I think part of that process really is, asking questions to figure out why some things are happening. But I think the thing that was most sort of impactful to me was the fact that, as a company, we have our values, and we have a mission statement, our company does, as well as we have what we call our TMFLT 10, which are the 10 principles that sort of guide our actions. And while our values are probably going to remain pretty constant throughout our company while it's in existence, our vision, how we get to those things, are going to be the things that change, and they should change. We don't want to be a blockbuster. We don't want to lose sight of moving forward to the point where we don't change things just because we're Blockbuster and we don't want to change things, right?
Right.
And look where Blockbuster is now. They didn't meet the demands of a changing landscape. And, that's challenging. We don't want that. So that's where we allow our vision to change, and maybe how we do things and the way that we communicate with guests or the way that we do things as a company is always going to be changing and moving forward. But the values, the things that make us us, aren't going to change. And that's really important to find a way to do that. And if you look at the Disney company, their values really haven't changed, but the way that they deliver on those values has changed. So that's something I really took, forward and just sort of reinforced all those things, that make us us. And I think we have a great company. I mean, at times it was one of those moments where for a while you get to maybe kind of step back where you don't really have the opportunity to do it day to day and be like, you know what? It's really cool to be a part of this. And I feel incredibly grateful for that all the time. I mean, not everyone gets to live out their dreams in a way that is just has become so much of their life, like this has for me. So this isn't what I set out to do when we started this company, but I'm really glad this is where we are. And I just think, we're really just getting started in this, and I look forward to the opportunities. So,
and what's funny about that is too, and we're going to wrap this up, but, when I was a teacher, and I think everybody that passes through Walt Disney World that has any kind of a career, like I was in education, I was not in sales, I was not in travel, I was not anything like that, but I would come home and I would just see things passively in how Disney has processes to get things done, or how cast members are trained to interact with the guests, because I took a lot of that as an elementary school teacher, and I didn't go to any Disney Institute class. I just watched the way they modeled the way the interactions were between cast members and guests, cast members and cast members, the way things were efficiently done throughout the parks. You could just see like they have a plan here, something as simple as trash collection, or just how everybody presents themselves with their uniforms, with their costumes. So I would take a lot of that back into my elementary school classroom and just have a plan, just as what I observed on my Disney vacations. I'm sure the people that are in sales, and all kinds of other fields see this on their vacations, and maybe they bring that home, not even Disney Institute, but this is probably a way just to take it to the next level.
It's true. At the end of the day, I'm very grateful that we're in a company that allows each of our agents to really be the CEO of themselves, right? The CEO of their area, their business. And there's lots of opportunities for success. There's lots of opportunities to do things in a way that fit each individual person's style, as long as the overall umbrella is meeting those values of our company and continuing to provide on that. And then lots of things. I mean, just lots of really cool things. I get to talk Disney all the time. I don't get to talk about the running of business or leadership on the podcast much, because that's not what the podcast is about, right? This isn't a leadership podcast. But it's something that occupies a huge part of my day, is thinking about those things. So it was kind of good to flex that internal muscle a little bit. So
it's so weird.
I like it.
There's so many different kinds of Disney vacations. It's crazy. Like, I mean, that's a Disney vacation that 95% of the people don't know exists, like to go down there and better your career. You think about rides. All right, Rikki, let's hop over to you. So you went down over the weekend and kind of bounced around world and over to Universal and did some stuff. my favorite thing you did, I mean, honestly, with Hot Dog Hall of Fame, but
absolutely. I mean, I got to sit in the chairs that used to be at Busch Stadium, Mike.
Shut up, no way.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't know. I've never heard of the Hot Dog Hall of Fame. I mean, I'm all about it. I don't know what it's so quickly. Tell us about that, because I was more excited about that than Hagrid the Horrible or whatever you did. I mean, come on. Talk about hot dogs. Let's get to the important stuff.
Let's get to the hot dogs. So at Universal they have the Hot Dog Hall of Fame, and it's at City Walk, and it is a restaurant that serves hot dogs from all different stadiums around the US. So they have, each one has a different topping and things like that. So the Chicago hot dog has toppings that would be equivalent to Chicago, and the Detroit dog is the one that I got, and it had chili and onions. And my brother got another hot dog from another region. And so anyway, so that's kind of their whole point, is you get to get hot dogs from all these different ballpark regions, and it's kind of cool. And then they have this area where you can sit and you can enjoy your hot dog while you're in seats from former ballparks. So I got to sit in a bench or a seat that had been in Old Busch Stadium, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, just make sure you never sit in a seat from Wrigley. I mean,
there was
no.
Yeah. There was a Chicago seat there. I don't think it was from the Cubs. I think it was from the White Sox, but still.
Okay, yeah, so tell us about some highlights from your trip. We're gonna get all this stuff in.
Okay, so I was originally going to go to Walt Disney World on Saturday, and then as we were driving underneath the gates, my brother is like, "You haven't ridden Hagrid's yet, have you?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Let's go to Universal." So we turned the car around and headed over to Universal. And everybody's been asking about this attraction because it is the new highest at Universal. It's at Islands of Adventure. It is in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and it is Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure. And it's a long name, so it's just going to be called Hagrid's from here on out by me. But what they have done is they have torn down the old Dragon Challenge, or otherwise known as Dueling Dragons, and they have built a completely new coaster in this section. And when I say they built a new coaster, I mean they built an entire new thing. The thing that this attraction has been famous for so far has been both the lines as well as the extended downtimes. So knowing that I only had half the day to be at Universal for this, I said, well, this is the only thing I'm going to go do today. So let's make sure that was what we went to. And so we got in line, and we got in line about 1:00. And we waited. The line is gorgeous. The queue that they have is, I mean, what they've done is simply spectacular. Now they've taken parts of the old Dragon Challenge queue and kind of incorporated it in and added new pieces to it. But the way they've made this feel like it's really, if you're a Harry Potter fan, I mean, this really feels like it's on the grounds of Hogwarts. There are these beautiful castle ruins that they've built all around as part of the attraction, as well as part of the queue. You get to go through some really interesting scenes. You get to go through a great pre-show that features Hagrid and Mr. Weasley, which explains kind of why there are multiple motorbikes, because these are Sirius's motorbike, and well, there was only one of them in the movie, so how are there multiple? So they explain kind of how that whole process is. And the pre-show is really fantastic. There was a small delay, and by small, I mean I waited about 45 minutes. But the good thing was that I had enough to distract myself, and really kind of, I would talk with my family, and I played on my phone and things like that. So it wasn't super awful. Waiting for the 45 minutes did get a little tedious. When you're not moving, things get tedious. When the line was moving, I really didn't have a problem. I mean, you really didn't feel like you were waiting, because there's so much to look at. So there's a scene where you get to walk through, you get to see a bunch of eggs that Hagrid has had. He's hatching these blast-ended scroots, which, if you know anything about the books, there are these apparently giant creatures. When I was reading the books, I was like imagining them to be very small creatures. No, these are giant creatures that he's created. And that's what you are going to see while you are on your tour. is you're going to go, Hagrid's going to show you these blast-ended scroots. And then you go on this coaster adventure. And I have to tell you, it was fantastic. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Harry Potter fan or anything. I'm a coaster fan. I love Harry Potter. But what they've done, they have some great audio animatronics. They have just the story is really great overall. You really get the idea of the story as you're riding it. You can choose to ride in the sidecar, or you can choose to ride on the motorcycle. And I was a little scared, but I rode on the motorcycle because you definitely feel so much freer in the motorcycle. So I will say, like, if you're a little nervous, go on the sidecar. But it was really, really awesome. There is, I will kind of spoil it. So spoiler alert, there is a drop in this coaster. So it's not that far. I don't do Tower of Terror because I don't like the dropping feeling. But you know it's coming if you know the books. So the drop is really not that bad. It does go backwards. You go up a spike and your motorcycle dies, and because you're flying. So the motorcycle dies, you do go backwards and you careen through it. It's a really smooth coaster. It is super fantastic. If you are a Harry Potter fan or a coaster fan, I absolutely suggest you go ride this. Now, everybody's asking, how long did I wait for the ride? We actually waited, by the time we got on the ride, we waited about 2 hours and 15 minutes. But if we hadn't had the 45-minute delay, it would have been about an hour and a half. So it really wasn't so bad. And I very much enjoyed it. And I think if you're going to Universal, you definitely want to make sure you go on Hagrid's. So.
You go there, I'll go to the Hot Dog Hall of Fame.
I'll enjoy Hagrid's.
In 2 hours.
Yes.
Sounds fun. I have no idea what you just said for the last 10 minutes, but
that's okay. Everybody who who listens to Harry Potter, read Harry Potter, or watches the movies, they know exactly what I'm talking about. So
all right, so we're hitting a couple, like just kind of bouncing around. So you had a meal, you did breakfast at Cape May, and I think last week, Rikki, we had a question about a character breakfast at Cape May, right? And so
yeah,
a quick review of that.
Well, and that kind of is what spurred me to go to Cape May. Actually, the morning that I woke up that morning, and we were talking about before on the last podcast about kind of that spur of the moment, trip or whatever. And obviously, this trip was spur of the moment. And that day, I had planned on going to the Magic Kingdom, but I was like, well, where do I really want to go? So I looked at the app and I saw that, hey, Cape May has a breakfast buffet for, a breakfast reservation for, I think it was like an hour and a half later. And I was like, I wasn't showered or anything. I was like, well, I can get in the shower and get in my car and get there by then. So it's exactly what I did. And I changed my plans completely that day. And that morning I made fast passes. Granted, I know I'm I was one person, but I got a Frozen Ever After fast pass. And I saw that there were a few Frozen Ever After fast passes for that day overall, especially in the evening. But yeah, so I decided to head on over to Cape May, and I thought it was excellent. Very good buffet, very solid. All your traditional foods that you're looking for. So you got the Mickey waffles. They had French toast. They had an omelet station, which is pretty awesome. They had bacon, sausage. They had this hash thing that was like hash browns, and then I think it had shrimp in it or something like that. And then it had like a poached egg on top. That was really good. It had some kick to it though. I was like, where is this kick coming from? But it was really good. Mike, they had our tater tots that we love so very much.
Potato barrels.
Yes, I'm sorry, potato barrels. They were quite delicious as well. I will say the buffet is it feels very enclosed in the sense of I feel like the walkway in between the buffet and like where, there's walls is very, very tight. So when the buffet was crowded, it was a little difficult to maneuver around. So just keep that in mind. If you are there, pack your patience a little bit. You might need it because other people, just were constantly in my way while I was trying to fill up my plate. But other than that, I thought it was fine. Now, as for the characters, it is Minnie, Daisy, Donald, and Goofy, and they are all dressed in their beach finest. So I think Daisy was added not long ago. She replaced Mickey, and they all recently got updated in their outfits. And Minnie has the most adorable dress ever. It's this pink and blue and purple dress, and I would totally wear it if they made it in my size and not mouse size. But yeah, and the characters are great. As I kind of have always mentioned, my one little pet peeve about character meals, and especially being a single person, is I don't really have the ability to have anybody take my picture. I kind of have to depend on the kindness of strangers. And they set me in a spot where I didn't really have a lot of strangers nearby me to help me out. So that was a little more difficult. I did manage to eventually get some people who were nice, kind passerbyers who were walking to the buffet who saw me struggling, trying to get pictures with the characters. But I really do wish that, I know it would be an extra added expense for Disney to do, but I really wish that they would have more character handlers with the characters at the character meals. That way the whole family could get in on the photo with the character meal instead of, some mom trying to take a picture of the kids or, dad trying to take a picture of everybody but himself in it. It would be really, really nice if they offered that. And especially, because you are paying a premium to go to these character meals. That's my big tip for Disney with character meals, is it would be really nice if they had character attendance with all the characters.
One last thing on that. Was it like Chef Mickey's expensive? What do you think?
So I had breakfast. It was like 30. Now I got an annual pass discount. But it was like 35, 36, somewhere around there. So it wasn't cheap. But this was my only meal that day. I mean, I knew I was driving home, and so I was like, I'm gonna eat good right now. Let's fill up good. So I didn't really mind as much. I think if I was paying for it as my whole family, and that's kind of why I do those character meals when I don't have Brian, because it is so expensive, and I know he doesn't really care. So it's one of those things where it's like I tend to do the character meals when I'm alone because it is quite costly. So.
Good call. All right.
Yep.
Pam, I want to ask Pam something, because we're kind of just bouncing around. Like I said, kind of all over the place on a Friday. You didn't stay at Walt Disney World when you were down for the Institute. You stayed over at the new Universal Resort, at least part of the time, right? So tell us about that real quick.
Well, I did. So when I was doing the Disney Institute, I actually stayed at Copper Creek in a one bedroom.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. You stayed at Disney then. You did it right.
I did. So, yes. And it was beautiful, really and truly. We have stayed at Copper Creek before, but this really gave me an opportunity to sort of, dive into that. And as we mentioned on the podcast all the time, when Disney releases a special or a discounted rate, the rooms in the deluxe and the deluxe villa accommodations usually have the highest percentage off. And so that's something to consider when you're thinking about, what you want to do, where you want to stay, and all of that. So keep that in mind. I mean, you have access to the full kitchen if you're staying in a one bedroom or higher. And I did do a tour over on the Magic for Less Travel's Facebook page, so you can see it there if you want to see it in detail. And then I went over to Universal to check out the newest resort that is opened, and that's part of the Surfside Resort and Inn, which is part of this larger resort that is actually going to have two sides, yes. Surfside and Dockside, and basically they're different themed, but having the same options there at the Endless Summer Resort.
Yes.
Now this is Universal's foray into the value accommodations. And this is actually, they have all these different levels of accommodations like Disney does. Prior to this, the lower resort was Cabana Bay, and it's a prime value because of the location and because of the amenities that are available. This is actually a value resort, and the price point's really low on this. Like standard rooms are under $100. And so that's how it is. But I just want you to know that it's really located in a different area than the rest of Universal is. And I will have to say, as someone who really enjoys being able to walk to the theme parks and other resorts and things like that, I miss this. I miss this because of where the location is. That's not saying it's good or bad, and that's absolutely something that is me. But one of the things I love about Universal Orlando is that you can walk to everything. So This is literally across I-4. I mean, you can't. It's not like can you possibly walk it? No, sir. You cannot.
How fast are you, and how much do you value your life? It's kind of like I consider it like Frogger for humans.
It would be worse than that, because you would not only be crossing I-4, but you'd be jumping over bridges and overpasses, and
Never
you are so not allowed.
Your vacation. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
You are so not allowed. But the good news is, of course, that there's transportation. There is bus transportation, dedicated bus transportation to these resorts. So the resorts here too also have standard rooms that would accommodate 4, and then a 2-bedroom suite, which would accommodate up to 6, with 2 queen beds in the main area and a queen bed in kind of a master bedroom where you can close the door. Now, I don't want you to think of this 2-bedroom as being like a 2-bedroom at a deluxe villa at Disney. It does not have a living room area and then all of this. There's no couch or whatever. There is a kitchenette area though, and there is a table. It's a picnic table to sort of go with the theme of this resort. And it's, the resort is very cute. It really is. The theming was done well. Really is kind of a cool theme. But I want you all to know that it probably won't appeal to everyone, just because it is a value resort, and that's totally okay. I mean, that's the whole point in offering a different kind of resort, is that this will appeal to some people while not appealing to others.
Do you think, Pam, that they're trying to compete with maybe those hotels that are on iDrive, and that's what they're really trying to compete with?
Maybe. Yeah. This does offer a more themed experience than like a Hampton Inn. I mean,
right.
You know what I mean? A Hampton Inn may have a lower price point, but it's not going to be themed like the beach. So.
Right. Okay. I was just curious. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. The other thing to note is too that there is only one quick service location, and it has a limited menu. And there's also a Starbucks available in the lobby too. So, they're really appealing to, a certain group of folks, but that's okay. I mean, that's, a fun thing. It does have a pool. The pool is not overly themed. It doesn't have a slide. All their other resorts that are on Universal property do. So like the Disney resorts, this pool does not have a slide either. And those are sort of the limitations of it. You're absolutely going to notice a difference in towels and washcloths, from the plushier resorts. You just are. That happens at Disney, and that's the same at Universal. One of the things I do like that they have done, though, is really the theming. I think that they did carry that out. The rooms feel very much like they are suggesting, like it is, this kind of surf sort of resort. And I do like that. I think they're colorful and cute and modern and contemporary. And I think in that space, they did a good job.
All right. Well, we have time to squeeze in one more experience that Rikki had down on her trip, and it was very cool. She got to go over to Give Kids the World, and we're very thankful that they are so kind to, always have great hospitality to our show and to our listeners. And our listeners definitely repay them in volunteer hours and financial support throughout the years. And we appreciate you guys for all you do for the village. It's such an amazing place. But Rikki, you got to have a really cool experience there. So about 5 minutes, because I know you go on for 5 hours.
Oh, I could.
You are about this.
It
5 minutes. Tell us what happened.
Well, speaking of listeners who, go to Give Kids the World, I just want to bring that up. I actually met one of our listeners. Her name is Lacey. I think, Mike, you have met her before.
Yeah, we were on Seven Doors Mine Train together one time.
Yes, she mentioned that to me. Well, she was actually at the event as well. And she was there volunteering. And she said that she found out about Give Kids the World through us. And that just made my heart so happy. She said she volunteers there. I think she said a couple times a week, or she's there all the time. And she says that that is her happy place now. We've had discussion, we had the discussion, and she really loves being over there. And I told her that she has to call in when we have our first live show for Give Kids the World, because her story is just so fantastic that she told me. So I won't spoil it, but it was so great to finally meet Lacey. She was a blogger for me at the Mouse for Less as well. So, it was so great to finally meet her. And it makes my heart so happy to hear that, people are hearing about the village and volunteering, and so that's just wonderful. But Give Kids the World was so kind to invite me to attend this event. Now they have these speaker series, and they happen usually. Well, lately been happening about every month, every other month. They happen, at least every couple months or so. And what they do with these speaker series is they have celebrities from the Disney world, not Walt Disney World, but the Disney World overall, the overarching world, and they have them come in and they speak about kind of their experiences working for Disney, working with Disney, that kind of thing. So the past one that they just had before the one I went to it was on Disneyland's anniversary, and it was people who actually worked at Disneyland, and they were sharing their experiences of what it was like to work at Disneyland and work with Walt and things like that. If you want to read a little bit more about that, go check out the Mouse for Less. Our blogger Kylie actually got to go to that event, and she got to experience what that was like. And so you can kind of read a little bit more about what the speaker series is like. This speaker series, though, was Paige O'Hara. And for those who don't know, Paige is the voice of Belle in the actual animated version of Beauty and the Beast. So there was her, and then it was Linda Larkin. Now, Linda was the voice of Jasmine from Aladdin. So they got to come up on stage. Paige's husband actually is the one who interviewed the two of them. And they talked a little bit about their experiences and how they got into acting, and they were actually both more Paige, of course, was more of a Broadway star at the time, and Linda maybe not so much, but she was still kind of in that realm. She was actually a dancer, and they kind of talked about how they got their roles. One thing I learned was that Aladdin was actually supposed to be first. Aladdin was supposed to come out before Beauty and the Beast, but they ended up switching it along the way. And it was also interesting to hear about one of the things that I really wish Disney would do is they did hire these Broadway caliber actresses to take the parts of these princesses or these characters and things like that. And I feel like now maybe Disney relies a little bit too much on the name. And I know they did that a lot with Michael Eisner too, but it is nice to kind of have some of these very quality Broadway caliber stars singing. And I know that they kind of did that with Idina Menzel, with, Frozen. And of course, but Idina is just so iconic. So, her anyway, but, I do appreciate when they do things like that to add that Broadway caliber to the Disney movies. But it was just so interesting hearing their stories, hearing what things were like as they've gone on with being these princesses, because once you're a princess, you're always a Disney princess.
Yeah, awesome.
Yes, so it was really interesting to hear their stories, and then to hear how they kind of reacted when they were like, hey, this movie Ralph Breaks the Internet, well, we're going to add some Disney princesses to this, so we're going to bring you all back and have you guys record dialogue. And so that was really interesting. Now, a lot of people don't know in Ralph Breaks the Internet, they were only supposed to have one scene with the Disney princesses. But due to the reaction that the scene got at D23 Expo the last time, it was so monumental that they added in the second scene. So they didn't have that scene created originally. So that was kind of cool. And so the whole event was really awesome. It was a great experience. And then it gets to the end of the night, and they come back out, and they they're signing autographs and things like that, because you could buy artwork and things to benefit Give Kids the World. And I just kind of waited around, and I went up to each of them, and I just told them thank you, because these two women, they were my childhood. They were who I listened to over and over again by watching their movies. I mean, I wore out Beauty and the Beast. I know that our tape skips. I still have it. And I know our tape skips because I watched those movies all the time. I remember seeing Aladdin in theaters for the first time. And I know it wasn't the first movie that I saw in theaters, but it's one of the ones that has the most impact to me. I remember where I was. I remember who I was with. I remember sitting in the theater. So these two movies are a part of my DNA, and these two women have helped who I have become. And without these women, I may not be the person that I am, because they were such strong princesses in their own right. And it was so bizarre to hear, them speak, because I could hear them, I could see them as princesses, and I could hear their voice. Matter of fact, Linda, she's the most, she sounds the same mostly. And so as she was talking, there's a line that I could hear over and over again. And it's the line Jasmine says of, "I am not a prize to be won." And I just kept hearing that over and over again as she was speaking, it was just, it was so bizarre and awesome. It's kind of like how people are when they come up to us and they're like, "Oh, it's so weird to see you speak," So
people tell me that all the time, like, whoa, I've never, that voice is coming right out of your mouth. That's like, well, that's gone for 45 years of my life.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, they were so kind to me and so wonderful. And I am so thankful for these two women, that they were so generous of their time and so wonderful to speak with. And if you want to see a little bit about the experience, you can go to the Instagram or our Facebook on for the Be Our Guest podcast and see all that. And I do know they do have another speaker series coming, and it will be one I will absolutely be at, because my real princess, the one that I identified with the most in the sense of that was my princess, was Ariel, and that will be Jodie Benson, and Jodie Benson is coming. I don't know when, but I will be at that one. Come heck or high water, I will be at that one. So, but it was just these women. I mean, I was a bookworm like Belle. I mean, she's really who I identify and personality wise the most like, and so it was just, I had to thank them both for making me who I am. It was just incredible. So what this show is, it's proof that you guys have way better weekends and weeks than I mean, like I was unpacking boxes and deciding, should I keep this pair of shoes or should I give them to Goodwill? Right.
You guys are meeting Disney princesses and furthering like your leadership skills at Disney, staying at Copper Creek, visiting.
But I need you to come to my house and go through my clothes and decide whether I need to get
never doing that again.
To Goodwill.
I'm never, ever, ever getting back together. No, never, ever. Like ever. Anyway, so that's going to do it for today's show. Hopefully you enjoyed us kind of bouncing around. Pam and Rikki did have some amazing experiences. Wanted to get those out here right away on the show. Next Friday, we'll hop into, talking to resorts or talking about, stuff in theme parks to make your next Disney vacation better. Just want to give you just kind of some hot topics here that have happened in the last little bit or so. So don't forget, today's show brought to you by the great folks over at the Magic for Less Travel. When you have that next Disney vacation on the horizon, remember those are the best times in life. Those are the important times. They're with the people you love. You're going to make the memories that you're going to talk about for decades. Literally, you're going to talk about those for decades. Trust that trip with the great agents over at the Magic for Less. They're going to make sure that you're in the best position to have a great trip, get you the best financial deal so you don't pay more than you need to, and their services are absolutely free. So whether you're going to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Adventures by Disney, or a Disney cruise, check them out today. They got a great website, great place to get started. While you're there, fill out the quote form, let them know you heard about them here on the Be Our Guest podcast. Check them out today over at themagicforless.com. Also, don't forget to support our show with the Amazon affiliate link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. We appreciate that so much. Also, pay attention because I'm going to try very hard to have a live call-in show this Sunday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. So watch for that as well. And just join the Facebook page. You get an alert there. It's facebook.com/beourguestpodcast. And follow us on social over at Instagram and Twitter at Be Our Guest Pod and at Be Our Guest Mike. All right, time to get out of here. Let you get on with your weekend. Whatever you do, stay safe out there. So for Pam and Rikki, I'm Mike. Wish you an awesome weekend. Have fun, and we'll see you real soon.
Boom.
Sneeze that whole last time. I'm trying not to sneeze. I
Thanks.
get cold all of a sudden.
Uh-oh. Don't do that.
It's crazy.
No, look at this is the time of day when my light is perfect.
I see it. You look beautiful,
I
Pam.
need it to be this way all the time.
The golden hour, they call it, or whatever.
This is so I'm gonna like have someone carry around some kind of lighting
100%.
all the time with me. Yeah.
I have a so light here. Look. See it?
Nice.
I got this.
That's awesome.
Nothing Beyond for
There
5
you go.
Nice. Does
Yeah.
it work?
Yeah, it works.
Oh, okay. What does it look like when you turn it off?
What do you mean?
Well, is it on now?
No, it's not on.
Oh.
Now it's on.
Oh.
Oh.
It gives me a shadow.
Yeah, that's too much. That's too much.
I'm gonna
That
get
looks good.
like a photography light in here one of these days.
It's yeah.
Like I have one in front of me.
Yeah,
It has blue tissue over it too.
Yeah.
Because
Nice.
Hannah one day came in, she's like, "Oh my gosh, your face is red." And I'm like, "What?"
A little sun. Got a little sun.
I'm just like, "Thanks, Hannah."
That's
Thank
what
you.
kids do to you. Like you never look normal.
I know, like doing a podcast like
Leave
in
me
front
alone.
of a video camera once a week is not pressure enough, right?
Right,
I know. Like
exactly.
leave me alone. That's what I was.
It's like I don't make a fool of myself in what I say or what I'm doing. You know what I mean? For like 2 hours every week. So, anyways, if we only gave a crap about that anymore.
Yeah,
Right.
So Pam and Paige and Mallory went because we're in this new neighborhood. They went to Cecil Whitaker's, right? That's like a pizza place.
Ew.
But on Mondays, everything's apparently half price. So here's the my dad is in the place already. So because now we live by my dad, but Pam's like, your dad just walked into Cecil Whitaker's. So
Nice.
we get for living 3 minutes apart.
That's
Now,
yes.
dinner with my dad every night. No, 'cause I'm going to Taco Bell when I'm done here. So that's it.
Yeah, don't go to Cecil Whitaker's. It's gross. Sorry.
No, Cecil Whitaker's is fine.
No, it's
I like
disgusting.
it.
No,
It's
no,
cheap. It's good.
no. That's because it's not good.
That's
No.
pretty good.
No, no.
Oh wait,
No.
I got no text.
Emos all the way. Thank you.
Yep, party of 5. She said was party of 3, now party of 5.
Oh my god. That's
All right, I'll see you guys later. I'm about to
All right, see y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Okay, see ya. Bye.